Well, I was thinking that, to be honest, I think you're right. I think I have to take action at this point somehow, but I always thought that what I did, with the initial custody battle and then with taking that case to the Supreme Court when I lost, I thought I was proving then that I wanted to, and it took a lot out of me, Apoc. I got to tell you, there's a part of your soul that just dies. You feel like I used to be such a warrior in every way. And now I'm just the kind of guy who, when it comes to stuff like this, I just sit there and go, I don't have anything left. That's the feeling. I don't have any fight left in me.
And let me ask, did a lot of your back problems occur around the same time that they left?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, yes. My surgery happened about a year before, or at least my first surgery happened a year before I filed for divorce.
Wow.
So yeah, I got hit with a ton of shit right at once. In fact, when I went to the VA, when I got back to Virginia, they sent me directly to psychiatric and said, okay, because my dad had just died too. They said, this guy's just gone through a divorce, a back surgery, and his dad's died. I need him eval'd. And luckily, they found that with the exception of some mild depression, I was handling it all pretty well. But I was empty. I was on E. I didn't have enough energy to be depressed. It was like it took all my energy to get up and go to the bathroom. I mean, I had nothing at that time, And now, as far as psychologically, when it comes to this legal battle, even the threat of it, I still feel like I'm on E, I don't know if I have, because the amount of stress you go through on a daily basis as you wait for lawyers to call you back in court decisions and then people filing appeals on decisions, and you wouldn't believe what it takes out of you. It's like driving in Washington, D.C., where you have to think about something every quarter of a second. And the next thing you know, at the end of the day, you don't have the energy to breathe barely. That's the kind of stuff it takes out of you. If you care, if you have a heart and you care, and you're not a psychopath, fictitious Chucky is, then it's going to hurt you, because you're going to realize that you're having to hurt other people to get to your end goal of saving the well-being of a child. And none of that can feel good. There's no real winner there,
That's true, but it sounds like you were the person wronged unrightfully, so, you're just basically trying to fix what shouldn't have been broken, so...
Yeah, exactly. And all I wanted was to maintain and keep current and keep our relationship close. And yeah, I was a little bit of an asshole when it came to things like grades and behavior. I was the kind of parent that, although I would never incorporate corporal punishment and believe in it, I was very stern on get straight A's because I know you can, and say please and thank you. And that was about it. You did that shit, you could get away with murder with me. And that's how I think her life would be different right now. She'd have a little bit more of a disciplinarian in her life, but she'd be getting straight A's and she'd be happy. Because I let, the way I've always been around kids, I've let them hang out with whoever they want to. I don't judge them. As long as they're not hurting my kid, they can hang out, they can talk, they can go on trips together. So I would have been the freedom father as long as you're using your manners and getting good grades. And the way it is now is there's this air of, they both, this fictitious character and her husband, I think it's her fifth or sixth husband, they both live on checks from the government for claimed disabilities that are far overemphasized, if you will. They're not legitimate. And that bothers me a little, because I could have filed a claim with the government a long time ago for very real issues, such as going paralyzed from the waist down on occasion, which is happening to me now. And I could have gotten Social Security disability, but I haven't. And the biggest reason for that, because I don't like the societal judgment of what? You're getting paid for doing something other than labor? Fuck you. Regardless of the fact that you're actually disabled and entitled to it, especially if you paid into it for 20 odd years. So that's what's kept me out of it, to be honest with you. That's why I am not living off of a check from the government. I get a little teeny check from my Air Force disability, which is only a 20% rating for my fucking deformed, destroyed right knee. Thank you, Air Force. And it wasn't really the Air Force I have to blame. It was the Army and their surgery, because the Army base did it.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. 23 staples had the record that year. The most staples they had put in a patient was 21. But that's that's an old story. So the question is, how do we go forward? As a kid, imagine yourself as a kid. Aren't you the most happy when you're proud of both your parents?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
So if you hear one of those parents destroying another one on a daily basis over the period of years, how could that possibly make you feel good as a kid?
You couldn't, because you know you're half that person.
That's right. That's right.
So if you think about it, yeah.
So let's hear about you, Apocales. Distract me a little bit, man. What's going on in your life? What's life like after the flooding down there in Arizona? And I would love to hear about your personal life, if you know what I mean, if you feel like talking about it.
Sure. Well, basically what happened about the flooding is I did hijack your show, I think sometime last week. And what happened was, like the highways, like the alarms, like there's a stopgap measure for some of the flooding that goes on.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, the alarms didn't go off properly, and that stuff didn't go. So it flooded. It was a gradual flood. A lot of it, most of it, I think, was avoidable.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of dumb people hanging out on the right side of the lanes at certain points, which you're not supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, people did okay, and they got over it. I think there was some property damage more in certain suburbs and stuff like that, but for the most part, everyone got around it. I got let go of work early that day because the big boss called, from Ohio or whatever it was, and they said, there's a state of emergency going on, and it doesn't look like the storm's, concluding anytime soon, so.
Yeah.
And there was 2 cars, submerged in the parking lot, so that didn't help matters either, so they just sent everyone home.
Wow. But they did pay you for that day, right? But you said something like you were going to have to make up the work for it?
Yes, they did pay us. And what they ended up doing was they opened Saturday, and they also made us stay an extra hour the next few days, just to sort of help with the load of the work and all that. So
I got you. So as far as the cleanup and relief efforts on there, is that all going well, or has there been some neglect there?
As far as I can tell, it's been okay. I don't, I don't know about those people that, whose cars got submerged, because obviously they're not going to start for a while. But I don't know. The mayor and the governor both declared, Phoenix and Arizona in a state of emergency. So they had a lot of extra help and resources available towards them to help the matter at the time. But it was mostly like, cause the heavy rains, I guess, started about midnight, and they just kept going till about, I guess, 10. So it was almost like 3 inches, and this was the most rain we've ever seen in about 75 years. Wow. And 75 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot of people here because AC wasn't really as popular as it is now. Once affordable AC became more available, you saw a lot more people show up here.
Okay. And how about your personal life? What's going on there? I know a little secret.
Oh, yeah. I don't think it's really too much of a secret anymore, just because it's been said on a few different shows already. But I sort of met someone on this particular network, and it's been working out pretty well. For the most part. I mean, no fights or nothing like that. Just, I don't know. Like, I was very sketchy at first because I was like, someone from the internet, what, I don't want to be like one of those people. Like, internet love, but this person happens to live actually, fairly close to me. So I was like, okay, well, as long as I can, drive there, basically within a half hour, we're good. So,
Well, the photograph that I saw, you looked incredibly happy, and you sound different to me. I hear a new buzzing energy just under the surface of your voice. Is that are those the little cherubs flying around shooting you in the heart?
Well, it's either that or I got up this morning at 4 a.m. and it's about 1, so it can alter my voice, or it could be a mixture of both. Who knows?
That could be it. I didn't realize you had stayed up this late. When do you have to work? You have Wednesdays off?
Yeah. So with my schedule, I stay up Tuesday nights, and then what I do is I kind of limit the amount of sleep I get tonight. That way I can fall asleep about 9 tomorrow.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And then weekends, Fridays, I can stay up, doesn't matter, and I can sleep in. But then Saturday nights, I kind of limit the amount of sleep I get so I can pass out about 9 on Sunday. So
I see what you're saying. My girlfriend has Sundayitis. She stays up late on Friday night and then stays up late on Saturday night and then can't go to sleep on Sunday. So that bothers her too. But for me, I don't get to pick when I sleep. I mean, actually, I feel like I have to admit I slept like 6 hours each the last 2 mornings. And I was so thankful because there's no replacement for sleep. And when you haven't slept for 2 or 3 days, it becomes miserable. You can't think. You can't have quick thoughts, and time seems to drag. You lose your concept of time, and everything just sucks, man. Everything sucks when you can't sleep.
Yeah, and once you hit like day 3, I mean, you can't even get on your bike.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, you can't. I mean, it's bad enough when, you go full days without sleeping and you get in a car. I mean, getting on a bike after, so I don't know. That stuff's really scary, and I think I've told you this, but I get up about 4 and then I get off work about 4. And so I don't live very close to my work. So, I'm about 30 miles away from my work. So the last 5 miles of me reaching home, there's a really nice, layer of highway that, it's like soundless. I forget what they did to the road, but it just makes it so nice and smooth and all this. And man, it's just something about it that just makes you want to sleep. And so oftentimes, like I'll notice I'll like pass out for like 1 second, but I'll have my head nod up front and then I'll usually wake up. I mean, usually never enough to cause an accident, but still it's really scary that, you find yourself waking up and you're driving. So it's like,
absolutely. That's what happened to me, dude, in 2010. Once I could not sleep anymore from the back pain, I just kept trying to fake it till I made it, thinking it was going to get better. And I got in 2 accidents. I'd never been in an accident before. And then in 2010, I was a copier technician, so I was on the road most of the time up there in D.C. I got into a little fender bender, being asleep at the wheel, and, I thought that would be my wake-up call. And then the next thing I know, I'm waking up with 4 crunched-up cars, including my own. And windshields busted out, fenders flying. And I said, that's it. I can't do this anymore. Because the doctors kept saying, well, look, just take the sleeping medication and you'll be able to sleep. But it didn't work like that. I would take the sleeping medication and I would wake up halfway through the night with the pain, and then I would just be super duper groggy, and you try to go back to sleep, and it's like, imagine trying to sleep when someone has poured a little bit of gasoline on your back and set it on fire. It just won't let you. Your brain won't let you. It's processing too many pain signals. So what would happen is I'd stay up 2 or 3 days and then fall asleep. And then I'd be able to sleep like 11 hours, But I was getting in accidents because I was literally falling asleep at the wheel. And I knew that was it for me. Until I could get that fixed, there's just nothing I can do. So that's kind of when I went into business for myself and got into doing the computers again like I had been doing in Vermont, and working on the books and trying to make something take off with that, which has not been a major success. Probably because I just haven't written the right book yet, but, things like that. When you can't get sleep, there's nothing that can compensate for that, man. There's nothing that can increase your quality of life if you're not getting good rest. They haven't figured that out yet medically. I don't know what, it'd be nice if they had a sleep injection. But I would definitely be hooked on that drug.
Yeah.